مشاهدينا الكرام، أهلا وسهلا إلى برنامج وجوه من تورنتو. ضيفتنا اليوم السيدة رانيا شميساني. أهلا وسهلا رانيا.
أهلا وسهلا فيك.
منحب نعرف شيء عن حياتك، عن هوايتك، إذا بتحبي تبتدي.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm a Lebanese Canadian. I came to Canada when I was a teenager with my family, and I got married young, and I have one daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And
How long have you been here?
oh gosh, over 20 years.
Oh, that's good. So you really are more Canadian.
22 years. Yeah, I'm more
Yeah,
Canadian
that's
for
very
sure.
good.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. And what is your hobby?
Well, I used to always, my hobby is reading. It was always reading. I always had a book somewhere with me.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally I used to write. I do write. But occasionally whenever I feel down, I just like to write. Sometimes I could write about myself. I could write about what is bothering me. Sometimes I could write about something, a fantasy, like what I would like to happen to me, and I just make up, a story. And yeah.
So you must have a very large imagination.
I do.
And creative writing.
I do.
Yes.
I love making, even during the day sometimes I'll be, having coffee alone, and I just think of characters, and sometimes I think of a plot and try to make sense of it in my head. And to me it's amusing. I like it. I enjoyed it. It just gets me off whatever I'm going through, or just keeps my mind occupied with something interesting.
Very good. That reminds me when I was a kid. I remember I used to sit on the window, look in the sky, and see the clouds, and make stories out of the clouds, because of the shapes and whatnot. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You can see so many things. You can make so many stories out of them.
I know, exactly.
Yeah,
and
so you did that too.
Like the clouds, like mentioning the clouds. I always, every time I look at the sky and there's clouds, I always try to make shape out of them.
Beautiful, yeah. That's when people have imagination, I guess. They turn to the cloud.
Exactly, and sometimes
forget
the music,
problems.
Sometimes the music, a certain music is playing, well, it could be sad.
Yes.
It could be sometimes Latino, it could be a romance. Sometimes, and then sometimes it works better. While you're listening to that music, sometimes I just start imagining things, or or even imagine people dancing, or people going through fights, or people having romance. It's just I don't know. Sometimes it stimulates my imagination.
Actually, this is very good because you keep the kid in you.
Yeah.
And with imagination, you don't get bored because you always have something to do or think about. This is very good.
Thank you.
Thing, really.
I always thought it was weird because
No.
I enjoyed my own company a lot of times.
Yeah, no.
I tell my friend, no, I want to be alone.
No, this is very good actually. It makes you more creative, which is good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, like when I sit and write a poetry, I'm by myself thinking, then the words just come.
Just come.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very good.
And that's how I feel.
Yeah. So I heard that you wrote a book.
Yes.
What is this book? What did you write?
Okay, so far, the first book that I've written, it's called Twisted Forms of Love, and actually it's under my pen name. And the reason why I've chose to have a pen name, because it was something I started writing my own, something about my life, and I don't want to tell my name, and plus my name is pretty long and nobody will understand it, so I thought, SARA SALEM, it's kind of international too. So it's under SARA SALEM. It's called, again, Twisted Forms of Love.
So it's SARA SALEM.
SARA SALEM. Yeah, my pen name.
Yes.
And out of nowhere, one day I was having a very bad day. And I had no one to turn to.
Yes.
And then so I just picked up my pen and I started writing. And I remember that I've written things before when I had good days, bad days, so sometimes I wrote. So I gathered up whatever I could gather up, and I tried to make sense out of them, and I started rewriting them. So because it was making me feel much better. Excuse me. And then I didn't realize how far I went until I looked at my computer, and it showed that I have 40,000 words I'm like, I don't know where these come from.
Very
I'm like,
nice.
I could make a book out of that. You know, I was thinking to myself.
Yes.
So, and I was really busy at that moment. I was working like 12 hours a day, and that was in between and after. So I had no life, you know, I can say.
And what is this book about?
It's basically it's about this character. Her name is Hannah. Hannah is she's a Lebanese, and basically it's based on my life. You know, her struggle back home, her family. There's, you know, dysfunctional family, war back home, and you know, when there's war, there's poverty, there's hunger, there's a lot of people, you know, are not acting like themselves. Survival during the war, and then basically moves on to, you know, it becomes like Hannah's journey. Hannah's journey, and it changes a lot. You know, a lot of things, a lot of interesting things happen to her. It started off where one day I was just thinking, how did I get here? What happened to me? You know, how did that, you know, and then, you know, it turned into life. I'm like, well, that's what happened. There's a lot of reasons to make you the person, like, you know, sometimes incidents in your life happens and it changes you, or it could make you better, or it could make you stronger. Well, it made me really strong, of course.
Sure, you learn from your experience and you get stronger as you go along.
Yeah.
Especially if you have bad experiences.
Yes.
So you must have had bad experiences.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you tell us something about your experiences?
Well,
in what way?
Yes, I can tell you that, of course, you know, my family was not the right, you know, it wasn't a happy family. It wasn't a very happy childhood, and it's just it seems like every time Hannah turns around, there's another obstacle that she has to live, and then she's really a survival by nature. You know, she's not like, you know, she's not exactly a complaint. Like, of course, a teenager complains, they go through hormones, but she always tries to get out of her situation, and then she meets a man. Like, you know, she thinks, oh well, you know, I don't want to be with my family. I want to get married, you know. So she really want to get married. To her, you know, at such a young age, she thinks like it's her escape. It's a better life, and it wasn't that case.
Yeah. So this is it. It's wrong sometimes for the young girls to want to marry to escape.
Exactly.
They never know what they
can
get into. Yeah.
And it's kind of a lesson learned, because, you know, a lot of young girls, they need to be strong on their own. You know, they shouldn't be depending on a man to save them. You know, it's not always that way. It's not like, in some cases it works, in a lot of cases they don't. You know, but it's when you are a strong individual, you have your career, you're independent, nobody can control you, you know?
So really, school, university, depending on yourself,
Yes.
knowing yourself,
Yeah.
thinking straight.
Thinking straight, yes, that's very important, because sometimes you can make a wrong decision that could change your whole entire life, just based on that day or that decision. Give yourself time to think, I would say, to the young girls.
So you wrote one or two books?
I wrote two books.
Two books. And one is fiction, you say? One is on real life? Or is it from the same true life, but added to it fiction to make it more exciting, sort of?
You know what? The first book is, you know, it started as a non-fiction, you know.
True story.
True story.
Yes.
And then I kind of mix up things, you know, with it. Like, it's, you know, so it's just because sometimes, you know, it's based on a true story, so you have to hide the names and everything.
Yeah, you have to put salt and pepper.
And you have to
make it spice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all the incidents that happened to Hannah were all true. So like, there was not made, like, sometimes you just have to enter a few things here and there, a few characters, you know, to kind of make it more interesting. But the first book, it is based on a true story. And, you know, even I think, like, now that I've experienced writing, sometimes, you know, incidents in your life, it inspires you in a new book. you know, or it could be a conversation, or it could be a friend's life or something. Sometimes you may get, like, of course the second book has been inspired by my own life in so many different ways, but you know, I've kind of made it more interesting, and I've kind of, you know, and I went free with my imagination.
What are your plans from now on?
Okay, that's kind of interesting question. I would like to be able to write. I love writing, and hopefully one day I can be a full-time writer, you know, and make a living out of it.
And hopefully someone will discover the book,
yes,
and maybe make a movie out of it.
I would
because
love to.
It's out of real life.
It is out of real life, and you know, and so many people who have read it. Actually, I've never heard anybody that never gave me a bad review about it. They all said it's very interesting and unexpected. You know, it's just the story moves forward, and because I'm a reader to begin with, and so I kind of made the book the way I would want to read a book. You know, I kind of made it interesting, and I made the plot also interesting, something that makes sense too, because you know, you want to relate to people, and that's the only way to relate. And a lot of women will be able to relate to Hannah in so many ways, whether Middle Eastern, you know, it could be Canadian, ethnic background, anybody. Because you know, a lot of women go through struggles, and it could be a family member, it could be a husband relationship. Hannah went through all of it.
So now, what would you like to tell other young girls who are going through hardship or hard time or bad experiences? What is your advice to them?
I'd like to tell them to stay strong, because things will come around and will change. You know, sometimes, you know, some kids or some teenagers or even women, they go through something and they think this is the end of the world. You know, it's the way that it will change. It's not.
Nothing stays the same.
Nothing stays the same. You know, sometimes you have to hang on and stay strong, and try to focus, and don't make hasty decisions based on whatever that day you're going through. You know, regardless of what you're going through, sit and think, and you know,
and never give up.
Don't give up. No, you can never give up, because
look ahead, be optimistic.
One day you're gonna look back and say,
wow,
well, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah,
you know, I've lived through it, and you know,
just think will change to the better. You wish it to change to the better, it will change to the better.
Yes,
that's wonderful.
And don't look at like always. Okay, it's good to have a short goals too, because if sometimes, you know, you think on a long-term goal which will never happen, it's good to have a very realistic goals, and keep focused too. Just small little goals, and
one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Yes.
You know, because it's very easy to give up when, you know, you think long term and things are not happening quickly, and you say, oh no, it's not for me.
What is a good thing to do so you don't give up or you don't take a bad decision? What is a good thing to do while you are down?
I think it's good to, depends on what situation someone is going through. It's good to talk it out, to speak about it to someone you can really trust.
Or go to a movie.
Or go to a movie, or read a book.
Or read a book.
Or, you know, find something to occupy your mind. You know, because I know if you focus on the problem and that's the only thing you focus on,
gets worse.
That's the only thing you will see is the problem, because that's all you focus. You know, but if you try to bring
think
something
of a
else
good future.
On a good future.
Yeah.
Think of past that. You know, like you can always say, well, if I pass this, I'll be happier, or
things will work out.
Things will work out.
Just
keep don't
successful. I'll be happy. Things are gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing always happens the right way. Sometimes bad things happen until
the mind plays a lot
yes.
in a person's life, because if you really think you're gonna get over it, you're gonna be happy, you're gonna have something good happen to you, it will.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And
Yeah,
we experience that too.
The mind is very strong.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And don't jump into bad decisions. Sometimes, it's easy to make a wrong decision at the wrong time.
That's great. Now, if someone is interested with the book, do you have like a phone number or an email or something that they can get in touch with you?
Of course.
And ask?
Well, my name is SARA SALEM. If the book is already available on Amazon.
Yes, yes, yes.
They can find it and buy it. And my email is actually SaraSalem/Lebanon at hotmail.com.
At hotmail.com.
Yeah.
So Sarah Salem at hotmail.com.
/Lebanon.
/Lebanon at hotmail.com.
Yeah.
And what's the name of the two books? So
the first book is called Twisted Forms of Love, and the second one is called Bittersweet Tones of Love. So they are related.
They're related.
But each book is
each one is different.
On its own. Well, because it continues with Hannah. Like when you read the first book, it says to continue, and it continues, and that's why I said the second book was actually inspired by a lot of things that happened to me, a lot of interesting things, and a lot of things were added. But you'll understand the second book better when you read the first one, for sure.
Well, we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we hope that you'll keep on writing and we'll keep on reading.
I hope so.
And it's really, really nice, very nice having you. And we hope to have you again when you write your third, fourth, and fifth book.
Thank you so much.
So we know what's going on. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We hope to meet again in our next interview.